Hi, this is Steve Vest, your host for FPB's Meet the Candidates. This Cable 10 series allows you, the voter, to hear directly from the candidates on their views and issues that are important to us. This is leading up to the general election on November 5th. We took questions from the community via email and social media, so let's jump right in. Today's guest is Anna Marie Rosen, a candidate for City Commission. I'd like to thank you for taking time to interview with us today. And we'd like to start off, if you could just tell us about yourself and why you're running for City Commission.
Okay. First of all, thank you to FPB for hosting this, and thank you, Steve, also. Yes, I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, grew up in Minnesota, worked for a 3M company, was transferred to Austin, Texas, and then after Richard and I completed our time with 3M, we opted to move farther north to avoid heat and drought that was becoming more pervasive in Texas, and chose to move here to Frankfort. We found that city charming and like the ability to walk to most things, and very happy here. So we've now lived here 15 years.
Wow, 15 years.
Yes, and over that time I've been involved in various things. Probably the most prominent thing was being on the plant board 4 years, 2 years as chair. I've also been involved with Kentucky Conservation Committee, Walk Bike Frankfort, focus on race relations.
And you were on the City Commission before as well, right?
I was appointed for 8 months to fill a vacant position in 2022.
Okay. So what do you see as the most pressing issues facing Frankfort right now, and how would you address them as City Commissioner?
Well, I think we have 3 areas. We need capital development or capital projects. We need a swimming pool. We need a new fire station. Other things include restrooms downtown. The Broadway Bridge is falling into the river. It would be nice to have a walking bridge there. And the sewer department needs help too with the land falling. We also have social service needs. We have police, fire, EMS, and city staff that we need to keep high-quality people in those positions, give them cost of living increases, so we need money for that. Housing is an issue, that we need more housing at all income levels. And, of course, drug and rehabilitation programs, domestic violence concerns. And then I'd like to see us preserve the environment. And there's certain things that we can do that would be cost savings both for the city and also for the people living here, to help people with energy audits, and then the city could give incentives to help people do those energy saving things and reduce their utility bills.
Okay.
Planting more trees, which would shade buildings, make our city more attractive. Landfill waste is a growing problem. And renewable energy for city operations has been a goal for a while. I'd like to see that continue and start doing some concrete efforts towards making that happen.
Okay.
Reducing the amount of lighting going up into the atmosphere. So keeping the lighting that we need, of course, but lights that stay on all night in public buildings isn't necessary and is costing us, the taxpayers, money. Also, native plants. I noticed that we do have kudzu here in Franklin County, growing very close to Wilson's on the east-west connector, and that's blocking out the native plants that animals need to survive. The big question, I think, is how are we going to pay for any of this? We need industrial development. We need to bring businesses here that will use our services and give the city tax money. Over half of the city's income is the occupational tax. And so the best way to increase our income and have things to do these things we'd like to do to improve the quality of life is to welcome industrial development.
Okay. Well, what excites you about the future of Frankfort?
Wow. I think we have a community that's really interested in making our city livable and enjoying it. We have a natural location or a natural habitat location that's very attractive. We just have potential.
Okay. Well, how would you work to attract new businesses and jobs while supporting the existing local businesses?
Well, I think things like the paddocks, which are coming, that's retail. And so it's going to take the people living here away from the businesses we have now. It's kind of when you fix up one shopping center, another one goes into decay because of lack of service. So we need to encourage businesses to move here. And one thing we could do is put land aside in the comprehensive plan that would make it feasible for companies to come and look at what we have to offer and know that there's a place that's zoned for them to do a business. And those businesses coming in, we can direct things like how many trees to have on the landscape, to do roofs that can hold solar panels, if not immediately, then sometime in the future. So by welcoming people to say, we have land for you, please come, welcoming people, businesses, that would help. And that will also help with our shortage of housing, because if there are more business opportunities, then people would say, hey, there's a need for housing, let's build it.
Right.
And those people would be utilizing services that we have now, our doctors, veterinarians, retail establishments would do better with more people.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the one bridge, and right now we have two bridges that are closed indefinitely anyway, and Taylor Avenue is closed. So what are your plans for improving the infrastructure of the city, particularly the bridges, the roads, and the sewer lines?
Continuing to look for grants is always a wise thing to do, but most grants require matching. So again, we need industrial development so that we can bring in more money for the city to pursue those things. And I think that's what has happened in the past. The Broadway Bridge, 30 years of no care, no maintenance, and it falls into the river. It's not a big surprise. But why didn't they do maintenance or find some option? Lack of funds. The city has relied on the occupancy tax, the majority, vast majority, coming from state office workers. And the state, like every other responsible business, is reducing staff because you can automate more. With AI in our immediate future, we can envision having even fewer state employees. And so the city's income, which is reflected in currently the city has reduced all departments by 3%. We need to diversify our income base.
Okay.
And then we can have money for those things.
Okay. Well, what are your fiscal priorities when it comes to balancing the city's budget and managing its finances responsibly?
If I'm elected, the first thing I would like to do is meet with the other commission members and the mayor and come up with a priority list of what areas we should work on first. And I'm hoping that we could get beyond the basics of supporting our staff people, the police and fire, EMS, to picking out projects which will benefit the citizens most. One thing, and perhaps I'm biased, near the top is a swimming pool. Often people think of swimming pools as something for children. Learning to swim is very important. But there are many seniors here, and swimming, being in water, is an excellent form of exercise. Falling is not possible. Lifeguards would, of course, prevent from drownings, which is not usually a problem. So I would prioritize in those areas.
Okay.
As a group, commission, each person is 1/5 of a vote.
Right.
And so working together and trying to focus on the best cost benefit to various projects and working as a team, I think will smooth that out.
Okay. The comprehensive plan has been a subject of discussion in the community for quite a while. What is the goal of the plan, and what are your priorities for the plan?
I think the idea of a comprehensive plan is setting aside land and having a vision 30 years out with more immediate things closer. And the fact that we've been working on the comprehensive plan for 2.5 years is off the charts compared to other communities. And I think that there's some concerns. There's a very vocal group that don't want to see anything change, but would like to have work done to remove invasives. That costs money. I think there's an internal conflict there. It is important to set aside land so that we don't have just sprawl and to utilize certain spaces for various things. I think An example of a problem is when industry moves into an area where there's housing and people don't want the noise and effects of that business so close to them. That's why we have zoning. That's why we have a comprehensive plan. So I think we should finish that, and it should include a decent amount, perhaps 2,000 acres for possible industrial development over the next 20 years, and that would put us in the same range as our neighboring counties.
Okay. Well, how do you plan the balanced development with the preservation of rural and agricultural land in Franklin and Franklin County?
Well, there has to be some give and take, but I think to balance that would be the comprehensive plan that designates certain areas to concentrate industrial development and other areas to preserve. The southern edge of Franklin County seems to be a logical choice for industrial development. The land is flatter, the services are there, and it would be a concentrated area.
Okay. Well, what specific industries or other development would you like to see come to Frankfort?
Wow, that's kind of the dream of every person in government, I think, is a business that doesn't pollute, that employs a nice number of people more than warehousing, and that creates a product that everyone can use. So I'm not totally sure on what is there that could fit for us, but each year we have a group of graduating high school seniors. Some of them go to college, but many of them are in the job market. So I think a business that produces a product with perhaps a little bit of a learning curve that would be a good job into other jobs. So I guess that's a very abstract answer, but everything should be considered, and there's certain businesses, of course, we'd give preference to.
Okay. Well, how would you work to attract new businesses and jobs to Frankfort while supporting the local businesses that are already here?
Well, I think interviewing businesses that would like to move here and show them what we have to offer, see what they can offer us. Go to fairs that bring businesses together.
Okay.
We have KCDC, Kentucky, and they have the means to look into those things. Their interim executive director, Penny Peevler, is excellent at bringing people together. I think starting with KCDC and seeing what they can bring to us.
Okay. And what strategies do you have for addressing housing concerns in Frankfort? I know you mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
And but especially, is there any kind of incentive projects that you would do to bring in housing?
Okay. Yes, we need housing at all income levels. And another side benefit of industrial development would be that people, the upper structure of the business coming here, would be able to take some of the housing that we have that's falling apart or needs some special care, and they would have the money and the reason to be here in order to upgrade those. I believe that there are infrastructure projects or money available through the federal government for low-income housing, and we should consider some of that. I think Holmes Street would be an ideal location. It's near services, near the center of the city, and it's an area that could certainly be developed more than it has been.
Okay. Well, you talked about the pool, and are you talking about an indoor pool? Are you talking about a public pool, the pool at KSU, or an additional pool for the city?
Yep. I think we need a dedicated indoor city pool. We do have Juniper Hills, which is very nice. The season is 2 or 3 months a year. This year it closed August 1st, which there was certainly more time to swim, but the Frankfort Independent School System started August 1st. The county started in the middle of August. A year-round pool indoors would be an asset for the entire community. Kentucky State, I think pulling their pool together will be very good for the students of Kentucky State and could possibly serve the community as well. But their real goal is to help their students or to offer those to the students. So I think that there's space for 2 pools, one with the university and one for general public use.
Okay. How do you think, what are your ideas on funding the pool?
Well, if we had industrial development, we would have money that the city could spend on it, and that would be the most direct way. I know that there are other organizations like the Y that have been interested and would like to do something with us. That would be something to pursue. At this point, we don't have the money to look into that, so it's a concept.
Okay. The Kentucky General Assembly included funding for a Frankfort Convention Center in its budget in 2024. What is your plan to ensure the necessary additional funding needed for this project?
Yes, we do have growing tourism, and I think that's something that could help. I believe that money is designated where it goes, so that's more of a supportive than an actual role. I know that there's growth in short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And they are contributing to the tourism tax for that. Short-term rentals are an interesting problem because it is taking from the housing that we have available for people who just want to live here long-term. However, I know historically families have used it to improve their financial situation, and then they go on and are able to restore the building and do some other things. I think that the new hotels that are opening up will contribute to building that.
Okay.
As far as funding for the convention center, certainly the city could bond for that, but if we have to reduce our general spending by 3% each department, we don't have money to do bonding for a convention center at this point. I think we need to concentrate on the immediate concerns of meeting our social service requirements before that.
Okay. How would you work to improve the relationship between the city government and the county?
I think essentially it is good, but each of us has slightly different goals. I should mention on industrial development that the city and the county do have an agreement to share that occupational tax.
Okay.
So whereas Shelby County, the city and the county are suing each other over who gets the occupational tax, I think we've moved beyond that. So I think that the city and the county are working together. Communication certainly could be improved, but we're in good shape.
Okay. And you've talked a little bit about environmental sustainability. What other priorities do you have on that front?
Well,
you talked about trees, of course.
Yes. Climate change is real. And if we don't do something, the continuing heat, the more severe storms will just continue. So doing what we can to shore up our infrastructure and then reducing our energy use, putting less carbon into the atmosphere is very important. So the city converting to renewable energy, putting in a solar field, ensuring that we're not wasting any energy, because that's really the first step for any energy improvement situation, is to reduce the amount of energy you're using.
Right.
So insulation, turning off lights that aren't used, doing those basic things.
When you also talked about placing solar panels on top of buildings and
Yes.
parking garages and
Right. And in new building construction, it makes a lot of sense to ensure that the roof either can immediately hold solar panels or could in the future. Distributing where we get our energy makes the most sense. If a severe weather would hit, say, an installation of solar, then you're out of that. But if you have it distributed through the area, you have a better chance of reaping those benefits.
Okay. Do you have any ideas on enhancing tourism and promoting tourism? I know our numbers are up somewhat, but how do we keep that trend going?
Well, drink more bourbon.
Okay.
I guess I know from living downtown, my husband and I, when we see someone wandering around and you can tell that they aren't from here, they're looking at things differently, to say hello to them, welcome them, and have found that they're maybe have some odd reason for being here. they're on the way to someplace else, or just saw it on the map and said they're visiting all the capitals.
Right.
So I think to continue a positive spirit is the best thing. Having lived in Austin, Texas for 25 years, the message from the government, Austin, is you're in Austin. Be excited. Here you are.
Right.
That same basic strategy could work here.
Okay. How would you address concerns about crime and public safety in the city?
Well, I think I've attended some community meetings. The South Frankfort Neighborhood Association talked about crime and how you can deal with it. One of the things they mentioned are basic things like at night, lock the doors of your car, lock your home's doors. So basic preservation tactics. I think that the real problem there is that social services for people who become unhoused, for drug rehabilitation programs, that keeping those programs going is important as a preventative measure.
Okay. What about maintaining and developing Frankfort's parks and recreational areas?
I really enjoy parks and feel that they are important. I especially like just wandering green spaces, but I know also other people like sports programs.
Yeah.
So I think that they're a very good way of spending the city's money in terms of people spend so much time being sedative on some kind of cell phone or other type of screen that they really need to get out and enjoy the outdoors.
Right.
So I think maintaining our parks for use is a high priority.
Okay. With Frankfort being the state capital, what do we do to maintain our relations with state government?
Yes, that's an interesting situation. We do host people who come here, but the city is always at a deficit in terms of the amount of land within the city which is owned by the state.
Right.
And the state gives us a small stipend towards in lieu of taxes. We could use somewhat more. That would be helpful. And the cyclical periods of when the legislature is in process versus when we're just hosting the Capitol itself. I guess communicate, continue to communicate. I've learned a little bit on the Walk Bike Frankfort board where we've talked about how to do traffic calming on Capitol Avenue. And rather than having 2 lanes on each side, have 1 lane and more space for bicycles and pedestrians on the sides, and also more designated crossing areas. So traffic calming, and so that's a byproduct of being a capital city and working together.
Okay. What strategies do you have for promoting diversity, equity, inclusion in city government and the broader community?
So the City of Frankfort, the commission, has adopted DEI, and I think those are very good statutes or not statutes, but goals to keep in mind, and that each time there is a new commission, we should reinforce what those are and continue working with them. And I think making it possible for everyone to exceed what their dreams are or excel in what their dreams are is an important move for government.
Okay. When you live downtown, so talk a little bit about downtown revitalization.
Yes, I really enjoy all the sculptures and murals that we have, and the replanting of trees, and the variety that's been chosen. So in the summer concert series, I think people really enjoy being downtown, and visitors certainly do.
And I know we're real popular with witches downtown.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I think October 21st, something like that, the Witches' Night Out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
I drove through it last year, and I was like, this is amazing.
I heard about it last year. For some reason, I was somewhere else.
Oh,
but
the streets were packed. Everywhere
Yeah.
there were people.
I'm looking forward to that. Well, just cooler temperatures and being able to dress up and being in a nice urban area.
Yep. Could you talk a little bit about transparency in government and its importance?
Okay. The open meeting laws are important, and the whole idea of keeping the conversation in public realm so that people know and understand what's going on is important. It's also sometimes frustrating because you want to convince another commissioner that we just need to do certain things for blunt reasons. And so saying those in public are sometimes a little bit tricky, but I think there's a way to do that. And open meetings, keeping things available to the public so they know what's going on is very important.
Okay. Well, we're at the point where you get to look right into the camera over there and tell us what I may not have asked or ask people for your vote.
Yes. So I'm Anna Marie Rosen, running for City Commission. This is my second time running. The first time I lost by just 8 votes, so I'm giving it a good try. I believe that there are several areas that we need to work on and that we can pay for that through bringing more businesses here to Frankfort. So I'd like to see capital projects, including a swimming pool, a new fire department, let's see, a couple other things. A walking bridge over the Kentucky River near where the Broadway Bridge was. And restrooms downtown. I know that that's something that many visitors need. They're not ready to commit to sitting down at a restaurant, and that's something we should be supplying as well. Social services. We need to support our fire EMS and city staff in terms financially and also in ideas and moving programs forward. We need more housing and drug and rehabilitation and domestic violence situations, housing. The environment is very important to me, and making sure that we can retain the natural sites and benefits that we have from the environment as we move forward. What is going to pay for all of these things? It's industrial development. So bringing in businesses that can support the city and the county through the occupational tax will be a benefit for moving forward.
Okay.
Thank you for your vote.
And thank you so much for coming by today. I know our viewers appreciate hearing from you. And to our viewers, remember to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 5th, and then tune in to Channel 10 to see the results from the county clerk's office. Thank you for your time today.